Okay, so we're going to start up a new Xcode project. So multi-platform app. And let's call this Chinese number game. And maybe we could find a shorter name for this. So I went to Google, and we're going to be dealing with numbers in Chinese. So let's see Google Translate of number.
数字
So 数字, right? If I pronounce it correctly. So we're going to use the pinyin version, right? This English kind of version of the Chinese letters for the name of our game, but I don't want these accents. So I'm going to call this, instead of Chinese number game, choose. Now, let's not hurry. Let's take our time. We have include tests down here. Now, I'd like us to work with unit testing in this app. So make sure include tests is checked, okay? So we're going to check individual pieces of code in this app. So make sure that you include tests. Okay, next. Great. So I actually want to start out with a unit test. So let's create a new file and make sure it's a Swift file. And I'm going to call this just max. And we're going to define a function called max, which accepts 3 values, not 2, 3 integers. Could be doubles, but 3 integers. And it returns the maximal value of these integers. Okay? Now we could do, this could be a simple solution, a difficult solution. We can try to do many different solutions for this. And let's just return the number 10. This is a very poor solution, right? Because let's think of some examples that we could have, right? So let's start with actually what we expect. So we could have max. Let's consider several examples. Say of 3, of 10, and of 7. And if this were to work correctly, right, not the current version, we'd get a 10, which, you know, a sheer coincidence, we get this number 10. And we'd also expect that any permutation, any way we mix x, y, and z should give us the same result. Right, so we have 3, 10, 7. We could also have 3, 7, 10. Now, of course, this does not cover all cases, but this is not bad. 3, 7, 10. We could start out with 7 and then have 7, 10, 3, or 7, 3, 10. And so far, by a sheer miracle, our max algorithm works correctly. Of course, we want some other tests. Right, 3, 10, say 3 and 7, 10, 3, 7, and finally 10, 7, 3. But this is a reasonable test, right? There are 6 possibilities, 6 possible permutations. I haven't repeated anything here. And now let's have, say, max of 5, 5, 5. That should be 5. And maybe we want to run some more tests, maybe for, you know, negative numbers. So say negative 15, say 15, and 0, right? So the result should be 15. And these could be our tests, okay? So we want to create something called a unit test. So I'm going to copy this. And let's go over here to Shuzi tests. And these are our unit tests. And I'm going to copy this. And let's actually erase most of the code that appears here. The only thing I really care about is test example. I'm going to erase everything. So we want to test this code. We want to run these examples. So instead of test example, let's call it test max. And you see we have this little play button over here, right next to func. So we can press play to test this. Now there's nothing here, so it's going to succeed. And notice if instead of T-E-S-T, I write T-S-T, then that square just disappeared. So this has to start with T-E-S-T. Okay, saving it, we have this triangle. If I do something like max test, this is not going to work. You need test followed by whatever. So test max, I'm going to save this, and let's run the test. Okay, so it's going to start by compiling our app. So we see up here, way up here, I don't know if you can see where my cursor is, it says building. Okay, building is fine, but we're interested in testing. Build succeeded. Now testing. Now we would expect that since the function test max is empty, testing would be very fast. But we know Xcode can be slow sometimes, right? Xcode can be very slow the first time you do something. Well, it turns out that it seems like Xcode has a bug in testing, and this might hang up forever, okay? For 1,000 years, at least. So I'm going to show you what to do so that the test will be quick. This is, as far as I'm concerned, a bug in Xcode. So now I'll show you exactly what you need to do so the test doesn't hang up, right? This is an empty test and it should be very fast. Great. Okay, so I'll show you what we can do. Let's go to product, down to scheme, edit scheme, okay? Edit scheme. Or I could have clicked right up here, Shuzi, edit scheme. I know I'm not pronouncing it correctly, it's not Shuzi. I should check the pronunciation again. Edit scheme. And if you're on run, make sure you're on test, okay? So now I'm on test, and we have Shuzi. I'll continue to say Shuzi until I learn the correct pronunciation. Shuzi auto created, and we have this super tiny cute little arrow over here. So click on this arrow, and now we have Shuzi test, Shuzi UI test. I'm not really concerned with UI test. It says executed in parallel. Now let's go all the way to the right to the options. And it says execute in parallel if possible. So uncheck this and save the changes. So save. And that's it. We could do the same for UI tests. We're not going to do UI tests since it is so buggy. In theory, it's nice, but it's just so bad that we're not going to do that in Xcode. Okay. So we made some changes. I'm pressing Command S just to save. Okay. Let's go back to Shuzi tests and let's make sure we stop the tests. I'm going to go over to this little cool rectangle over here, press play. Build succeeded, testing. On my other screen, the phone started up here. So it took a little bit, it took some time. My app just ran over here, and the test is completed. Okay, we have this green check mark. We passed the test. Let's do that again. I'm going to press play, or not play, excuse me, that's running the app. I didn't want to run the app. Let's go right over here. Press play again, build succeeded. Okay, the first time around is slower, test succeeded. So we passed all our tests. Okay, so in the next lecture, we'll actually construct tests for Max, but at least you want to make sure that at this point, it doesn't take too much time to run the test. Okay, great. So in the next lecture, we'll do a unit test and then gradually get into our cool app. So have an amazing day and see you next time.